Hello, fellow horror geeks. This is StudioGeek.com, and I am Bob, and we're ready to speak geek with 2019's Freaks. This is number 56 on my 100 Days of Horror, and if you're watching this because you're looking at reviews for this new movie that you've been hearing about in theaters that you might not have heard of coming in otherwise, this is something that we do here at City of Geek. We watch 100 horror films we haven't seen the days leading up to Halloween, posting those results onto the link down below, onto the Facebook group from that, and we can post them up online. You can still join us. We have the main four of us along with several other people, so there's Robin and Brian and Amy and a bunch of people who are posting what they're doing. You can still, we're only 56 days in, and you go ahead and join us up with that. Now I do note that it is the 56th day today as I make this review, but if you notice that my reviews are up to 37 otherwise, I'm a little behind in posting those, but I wanted to talk about this movie. I saw it yesterday and I loved it so much that I felt I needed to talk about it immediately. I gave it a day to kind of think things through and coalesce and get my thoughts in order of how I can talk about this movie without spoiling it for you, because I came in knowing almost nothing, just one basic line, and I think that's the best way to come into it, because I think it really worked out, particularly in this film, because you're dealing with a lot of questions as things go along. And as I get through my own review, I'm not going to spoil anything outside of maybe some first act stuff. There's really awesome ideas and concepts in the second and third acts that I'll talk about after the main section of the review, that if you're curious a little more, if you've seen it and want to kind of see my thoughts on that those are there. Before I get a little deeper, of course I'll note that I do have some weird shadows here. I usually have track lights above us, and one of them is out. This did pop out into theaters this week. It's in limited release. Luckily I live in Seattle, so I'm able to see most everything as it comes through, but not everything works out that way. So I'm pretty sure it's being VOD in just a little bit, probably by December or January, I don't know. But when it comes to VOD, definitely check that out and post this review a second time, or put it out on, republish the site for it, because I really want everyone to see it, because this is one of my favorite movies of the year. When I redid my letterbox today, I'm not quite done reordering, but that did put it in its place, and it's currently sitting at like 8 or 9 around there. That's how much I love this movie. I've seen like 115 movies this year that came out this year. This is in that top tier, because I love this movie so much, and you need to go see this. Just turn this review off and go watch the movie. That's what I'm telling you right now. And a lot of why this movie works is really confident filmmaking from Zach Lepowski, I can't read my own handwriting, I'm sorry, and Adam B. Stein, who together wrote and directed this movie. And from what I saw online, they essentially made this movie with very minimal backing, so they had full control over what they were doing, and that really shows a confidence and a love for their audience, and understanding what an audience coming to this movie is going to want, and how they like movies to be presented to them. Because it isn't spoon-fed in any all. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's ultimately a lot of exposition to be given to us, but we're never given anything directly and straightforward, maybe besides maybe like one news report. Even that news report might be questioned, because we got a lot of information given to us that we have to parse through, whether what's true, what's not, and build the world bit by bit by bit, as our main character also starts to build that world bit by bit by bit. And I really appreciated that respect for the audience to come along with them on this journey, rather than directly stating stuff, because like I said, I came in with one single line of plot, so it allowed me to build this world instead of knowing where things are going. That if I watched a trailer or looked up some information first, that would kind of know where it was going. So I really loved watching it unfold as things went by. That one single line idea that I knew coming in was Emil Hirsch plays a young father who's protecting his 7-year-old from the outside world. And that's all I know coming in, and that's all we know to start with until we start to learn more information. That 7-year-old is played by Lexi Kolker, and she plays the character Chloe, and she is absolutely fantastic. Emil Hirsch is a fine actor. I loved him a couple years ago in Autopsy of Jane Doe with Brian Cox, and here he gets to, speaking of like crotchety old guys, he gets to act against Bruce Dern later on in the movie. So Bruce Dern, Emil Hirsch, and Lexi Kolker make up the main portion of this. We all know who they are, but she is absolutely fantastic. She's been in a couple things before, the TV version of Shooter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this past 2 years. I haven't seen that far into it. I stopped around season 4. Eventually I'll catch up to the rest, so I don't see her in that, but this is the first thing I've seen her in, and she just kills it, because she has so much she has to do as she learns about this world and learns these information, and has to deal with all the emotions from that and her emotional changes as she learns that. And I'm trying to be so vague, because alright, so I'll go into a little bit of detail here of the first act and first act only. We start with Chloe and Emil Hirsch, I can't remember the character's name, stuck in a dilapidated house. You got crap coming down from the ceilings. You got, look like a hoarder's house that fell apart and it's been empty for 20 years. I love the design of this house. Production value for this was great. They really built this house really well and made it feel like grime. It's one of the things where you see like this rust coming down, or not rust, but rusty water, like stains, stuff like that. And you're seeing first what seems like a post-apocalyptic world with a dad and his daughter going over the rules and how to survive and what they need to get, and everything looks like it's slapdash put together. But then they start to give us little hints of it's not quite that. There's power, and he's getting mail, and they mention some neighbors down the street, so it doesn't seem like it's quite that, but this seems like a very dark and nasty world that he tells her she needs to not go into unless she needs to. I need to protect you by you staying here. But of course she's curious because she's 7 years old and she wants to know more. So as she starts to learn more about what's around her, we start to learn more of it. She opens up a window and it's a shiny world. It looks normal, and there's an ice cream truck, and things don't seem quite right with that. Things are a little off. It feels unnatural and feels like it might be manufactured, or other details like that. We start to get these informations bit by bit by bit, and we're starting to wonder what's true and what's not. And she meets up with Bruce Stern, who plays the ice cream man, and things aren't quite right there. And he's telling her information and that she's asking, and we're not sure if he's telling the truth. But it's not done in a, we don't really know where this is going. Like the filmmakers obviously know where this is heading, but it's given to us in a really wonderful way, because it's trusting the audience to figure this out, to figure out the truths and the lies, and leaving us to question everything as we're watching it, and allows us to put it together, which I keep talking about how much I love that, because I did. No expositional, interviews. There's maybe one of those a little later on, but way into the film. So they create this wonderful world that I loved learning more about, held in with these great characters and great actors as they start to figure this out. And so I was completely along for the ride as things started to get bigger and bloodier. This has a lot of horror elements, not directly. It's a science fiction and horror kind of shoved together in a different genre as well. You got the family drama there, you got this, and so it melds together so well with great storytelling. And I really want to see what these guys are going to do after this. Besides the Kim Possible movie they're making for Disney, but these guys are on the up and coming, and I really hope that people do see Freaks. So unfortunately did have a small release here, kind of just dropped in the theaters, and I really hope that more people get a chance to see it. Hope that you want to watch it after watching this review. And thank you for watching this review as I've been vague about the details of the movie. But I highly recommend this. As I said, it's one of my favorite movies of this year. It needs to be seen. If you can't see it theatrically, see it on VOD and put it on your top 10 list and tell your friends. So you want to tell your friends about this, and not in a Serenity, oh my god, you guys see how crap this movie is. No, it's like this hopefully word of mouth really gets this movie going. But it's not just that storytelling, it's the camera work and the way it moves through the house, and you get a lot of views from Lexi Chloe's point of view, and you really feel for her as she gets to this world. And I appreciate the shot choice to keep it as almost a 7-year-old, what she's seeing and how she's taking in this new information as she gets it, without doing too many, you don't get a lot of establishing shots because we're kept in the dark. This is she is, and as she learns more, we get to see more, and that's really helps build that story and builds that tension. There's not a lot of special effects, but they're really well done. The blood is fun. The other characters are really well performed, and the way that all comes together is fantastic, because there's stuff going on with her, because you get that I didn't mention there's like other supernatural stuff going on. I'm not gonna say what they were, and as those started to happen, you're like, what is going on here? Oh, I think I know what's going on here. I'm not sure. It allows you just to get that world, get new information. So we tear down the world, and then we get new information, we build it up again until we tear it down and build it up and tear it down, and that's fantastic filmmaking. So I'm gonna give Freaks an A. I'm gonna recommend you go watch this as soon as you can. And just in a second here, I'm gonna talk about some of the details that come into Act 2 that I want to talk about. So here's the spoiler point where you want to cut off the spoilers. But before I get there, as always, as every YouTuber will say, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, go to cp.com, hit us there, go to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast. Don't Read the Latin as well with our friends there. Kim was on that recently. And A Ghost Stories with Kim and Gabby, when they talk about the ghost of Washington, and that Kim and I work for. Yeah, but we don't work for ghosts, we work for a ghost company. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoilers. Spoiler alert, Michael Myers kills his sister. Sorry. Alright, so let's talk that further plot detail. So this world actually is a superhero world. It's an X-Men type thing, where you have the freaks, such as our main characters here, how all sort have some sort of power each, just as if they're X-Men, but this is treated in a way, definitely not accepting of them, because they're powerful. And because one thing I've always thought is like, many of the X-Men could destroy the world if they really, really wanted to. Not just like some stuff like Storm could just wipe out everyone. And sometimes Senator Kelly is right. Sometimes the humans are right in the X-Men movies. And here is true as well. You get really powerful people that are being hunted by the government. But the way these powers are used is really well done in a way that start to find out that information. As I mentioned in the first half of the review, is because I didn't realize what this was until we get that information further on. But it's nothing big and nothing showy. There's maybe a little bit of that. But the way the power sets of each of the characters as they reveal powers, how they interact and how they use to further the story, isn't just a cheap Deus Ex Machina. It builds a story, and it builds the world, and it builds what's happening, and also still uses that gray area. Are they too powerful? Do they need to be kept away? Do they need to be protected? What's going on with this other freak that we know about, that's related to the rest of this family? What's going on with her, and what are they going to do with that, and how these stories start to come together? As we found out, more of that is really put together. It's really clever uses of here, where it doesn't become just the easy out. But as we find out more about this world and what has happened previously, we see the paranoia and anger and fear from both sides of this. Not saying the government in this case is completely right, but there is their reasoning behind what they're doing. They're not this government agency isn't purely evil. Maybe some actions that they do are definitely over that line, but where they come from, in the sense that this world makes sense. And it isn't a black and white issue. It reminded me a lot of actually The Gifted. I only watched the first season of that, but the X-Men TV show about underground X-Men, underground mutants trying to just get themselves to safety because they're coming after them. And that reminded me of that. It's a very small, grounded world of mutancy. We don't have like a Magneto out there destroying shit like that. You get people who can't control their powers in different ways, and where things go from there. What rights do they have compared to what's taken away from them by simply having these abilities? Of course, there's metaphors to go with this, and that's for a different discussion for a different time. But I didn't know about any of the superhero stuff coming in. I didn't know any about the mutant stuff coming in. So if I had known that coming in, I knew that would be the world, and I liked finding that out. It's like realizing that they're mutants, realizing that that's what's going on. This is who they are, and realizing what their powers were, and how what we were seeing that Chloe couldn't understand, that we couldn't understand, was way her ability worked. And so some stuff that was odd and strange earlier on now gets an explanation, but also without spoon feeding it to us. Just letting us like, oh, I get it, cool, that makes sense. And you look back and you can see those pieces coming into place. So that's the spoiler stuff there. So I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to accidentally go too far into that, but I do want to see more of this world. So thank you again for watching. I did all the subscribe stuff earlier, but thank you for speaking geek with me, and we'll see you for the next video. Bye.